There's a brutal truth you need to face. Not everyone who enters your life wishes you well. Some people wear kindness like a mask, a polished illusion designed to hide darker motives. They smile, they charm, they make you feel seen, but beneath that warmth lies something colder, a hunger for control, for chaos, for feeding off your trust. You can spend years believing someone cares, only to realize they've been draining you slowly. The Stoics warned us about this. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, and when someone's inner thoughts are corrupted, no amount of charisma can conceal their decay forever. Your mission isn't to fear evil people, it's to recognize them early. You must train your perception like a soldier sharpens his blade, clear, rational, and unclouded by emotion, because once you learn to see clearly, no deception can enslave your peace again. Charm can be a weapon, and the most dangerous hands are those that wield it softly. The manipulative often appear radiant. They know how to light up a room, how to speak with ease, how to make you feel important. But pay close attention. Their praise comes fast, their affection intense, and their curiosity rehearsed. This is not genuine warmth, it's strategic attention. The Stoics taught us to distrust excessive flattery because true character doesn't need performance. Epictetus warned, when someone flatters you, imagine they're training to deceive you. A person of virtue doesn't need to impress. Their presence itself carries calm confidence. So, when you meet someone who rushes connection, who tries to win your loyalty before earning your trust, pause, observe. You're not cold or paranoid, you're wise. Stoicism is not about judging harshly, it's about perceiving clearly. To see through illusion is not cynicism, it's self-defense. Every time you resist false charm, you reclaim your freedom from emotional manipulation. At first, their charm feels magnetic. They make you laugh. They listen closely, and you feel a sense of connection that seems almost rare. But soon, you notice a shift. Every conversation becomes about them. Every story bends toward their victories, their pain, their brilliance. They interrupt without guilt, overshadow without awareness, and subtly belittle others to appear superior. This is not confidence. It's dominance disguised as charisma. The Stoics would call this a disturbance of reason. The mind enslaved by ego, Marcus Aurelius warned, it is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live according to nature. And according to nature, no one thrives by consuming the attention of others. You must learn to observe such people without reacting. Don't compete with their noise. Don't try to prove your worth. Stand firm in silence, composed and self-assured. The Stoic way is not to shout over the crowd, but to remain unshaken within it. True power needs no spotlight. It radiates from discipline and inner calm. The greatest mistake you can make is assuming everyone's intentions match their words. The Stoics trained their minds to see beyond speech, to judge not by how someone talks, but by how they behave when no one is watching. Words are easy, deeds reveal truth. Watch closely how they treat those who can't benefit them. The waiter, the cleaner, the person they consider beneath them. A kind person shows respect even when it offers no advantage. A deceitful one shows respect only when it serves their image. Epictetus taught, appearances are deceitful. Keep your reason pure, and you will see through the disguise. You must treat charm as a surface, not as proof of virtue. The Stoic's task is to observe without attachment, to see patterns of behavior rather than promises of character. So, when their mask begins to slip, when their tone hardens, their empathy fades, their kindness turns conditional. Don't explain it away, accept what you see. Truth, no matter how cold, is safer than comfort built on illusion. One of the clearest signs of a corrupted soul is the absence of empathy. You'll feel it, even if you can't explain it. That chilling void when you share something personal and they don't flinch, don't care, don't connect. They might nod, laugh it off, or worse, use your pain as ammunition later. To them, emotion is a tool, not a bond. The Stoics warned that without compassion, reason becomes cruelty in disguise. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to live for the good of others, because we are all woven together by destiny. An unfeeling person lives cut off from that truth. They see others as objects to use, not as souls to understand. When someone cannot share your joy or sorrow, they are not neutral. They are dangerous. The Stoic practice here is detachment with clarity. You don't need to hate them or fix them. You simply stop expecting warmth from the cold. You protect your peace by refusing to seek validation from a heart that cannot feel. Spending time with someone who lacks empathy slowly corrodes your emotional strength. You begin to doubt yourself. Maybe I'm overreacting. You think, or maybe I'm too sensitive. But you're not. What you're experiencing is emotional starvation. You give understanding, but receive indifference. You offer care, but face cold analysis. The Stoics understood this kind of suffering, the pain that comes not from physical wounds, but from misplaced trust. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Yet when someone repeatedly invalidates your feelings, they turn imagination into constant self-questioning. Over time, your spirit tires. That's when Stoic discipline becomes your armor. You must rebuild the inner wall, the sacred boundary of your mind. Don't hand over your peace for their approval. Their lack of empathy is a reflection of their poverty of soul, not your worth. When you stop trying to awaken feeling in the heartless, you reclaim your energy for those who truly see you. When you encounter a person without empathy, your first instinct may be to mirror their indifference or to fight for their understanding. That's how they win, by pulling you into emotional chaos. The Stoics' discipline is not about retreating from humanity, but about mastering perception. Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You cannot control the emptiness in another's heart, but you can control whether it infects yours. Observation without absorption, that's your weapon. Watch how they act, but do not internalize their coldness. Instead, treat it like a lesson in human nature, a reminder of what you refuse to become. Stoicism is emotional clarity under fire, the power to see cruelty, manipulation, and selfishness, yet remain calm, kind, and unshaken. When you can witness darkness and stay light inside, you have achieved the rarest form of strength, emotional sovereignty. Manipulation is not always loud or obvious. It often begins with subtle emotional hooks, guilt. Flattery is sympathy, all carefully designed to make you lower your guard. The manipulator studies your emotions like a strategist studies a battlefield. They learn what triggers your compassion, what words earn your trust, and what insecurities they can exploit. Before you realize it, your actions start to orbit around their moods and approval. The Stoics would call this a loss of autonomy, the surrender of your reason to another's will. Epictetus warned, if you wish to be free, let your desires and aversions be your own. Manipulators thrive when you forget this truth. They want to cloud your perception, twist your thoughts, and make you question your own reality. But the Stoic mind cuts through confusion with calm logic. The moment you pause, breathe, and analyze their words instead of reacting to them, their power begins to crumble. Reason is your shield, clarity is your escape. Manipulators count on one thing, your emotional impulsiveness. They bait you with guilt, urgency, or affection, knowing that a reactive heart is easier to control than a disciplined mind. But the Stoic path demands awareness before reaction. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Every time someone tries to guilt trip you or twist your emotions, you have a sacred moment of choice, to pause. That pause is your armor. In that stillness, you separate truth from illusion. Ask yourself, what are they trying to make me feel? Who benefits from this reaction? Once you can see the pattern, you break it. The manipulator loses grip the moment you stop feeding them emotional energy. Stoicism teaches not withdrawal, but disciplined response. To observe deceit without becoming its victim, you don't need to match their cunning. You only need to remain unmoved by it. Calm destroys manipulation faster than confrontation ever will. When someone tries to twist your emotions, your greatest weapon isn't anger, it's composure. The manipulator thrives on reaction. They want you confused, defensive, apologetic. The Stoic response is the opposite: silence, analysis, and choice. Epictetus taught, when someone provokes you, remember that it is your judgment that provokes you. In other words, they can throw the spark, but only you decide if it becomes a fire. Instead of rushing to defend yourself, slow down, observe the tactic. Are they using pity to control you? Are they flipping the story to make you feel guilty? Are they acting weak to gain power? By labeling the game, you break its spell. The Stoic doesn't play emotional chess. He flips the board by refusing to engage. Calm is not weakness, it's dominance in disguise. The more emotionally stable you become, the less access they have to your mind. Detachment, in this case, is not coldness, it's wisdom protecting peace. A master manipulator rarely appears aggressive. Instead, they play the victim, a calculated act that feeds on your empathy. They'll talk about how misunderstood they are, how unfairly life treats them, how others have betrayed them, and because you're kind, you'll rush in to help, to fix, to understand, but this is the trap. They weaponize your compassion to gain control. Marcus Aurelius warned, the best revenge is to be unlike your enemy. When someone constantly plays helpless, they're not seeking healing, they're seeking leverage. They make you responsible for their happiness and use guilt to steer your choices. The Stoics' wisdom is to help without attachment. You can offer kindness, but never surrender your peace. Remember, true victims seek healing. Manipulators seek power through pity. You must learn to tell the difference. The moment you stop reacting to guilt, their mask cracks, and their dependence on your emotional energy loses its grip. Manipulators know that good-hearted people hate to disappoint others. That's their entry point. They'll say things like, "I thought you cared," or, "If you really valued me, you'd do this." Their words are designed to make you feel responsible for their emotions. But Stoicism teaches that guilt is only valid when tied to wrongdoing, not when someone fabricates it to control you. Epictetus warned, "No man is free who is not master of himself." When guilt is imposed from outside, it becomes a leash around your mind. You begin to say yes when you mean no, to apologize when you've done nothing wrong, to sacrifice your peace to maintain their comfort. The Stoic approach is simple. Pause, detach, and assess the truth. Did you actually harm them, or did they twist your empathy into obedience? Real compassion never demands submission. It's time you stop mistaking guilt for goodness. Refusing manipulation isn't cruelty, it's moral clarity. Gaslighting is one of the most destructive weapons of manipulation. It doesn't just confuse you, it makes you question your own sanity. The gaslighter rewrites reality, denies facts, and twists your memory until you can't tell what's true anymore. You start apologizing for things you never did, doubting what you saw, even defending the one who's deceiving you. But the Stoics give you the antidote. Reason? Epictetus said, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind was complicit. In the same way, when someone tries to distort your truth, the only way they win is if you abandon your judgment. Write things down. Observe. Keep your mind anchored to what is, not what they say. Facts are your allies. Emotion is their playground. A gaslighter thrives in confusion. So your discipline must be precision, calm awareness, logical thinking, and distance. The Stoic doesn't argue with illusion. He exposes it by staying loyal to truth. When someone constantly distorts reality, your greatest act of resistance is clarity. The Stoic doesn't fight confusion with emotion. He fights it with observation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone can prove me wrong, I shall gladly change, for I seek truth, not victory." That mindset is power. You're not afraid of truth. They are. The manipulator's goal is to make you question your perception. But the Stoic mind anchors itself in reason, not reaction. If they deny what happened, you don't argue, you note it. If they twist your words, you don't defend, you record the facts and walk away. You win by staying grounded in reality while they drown in distortion. Remember, peace doesn't come from being believed. It comes from knowing the truth within yourself. The moment you stop needing them to agree with your version of events, their control evaporates. Stoicism teaches not to convince the liar, but to stay free from his madness. Control often enters your life wearing the mask of protection. It sounds like, "I just want what's best for you," or "I'm only saying this because I care." But beneath those words is ownership, a quiet attempt to dictate your thoughts, choices, and movements. The Stoics would call this a corruption of reason, for no one has the right to command another's inner freedom. Epictetus declared, "No man is free who is not master of himself." When someone insists on managing your life, they're not protecting you, they're claiming dominion over you. At first, it may feel comforting to have someone guiding you, but soon, you'll realize they make every decision, control your circle, even monitor your time. This is not love, it's disguised domination. Stoicism demands that you preserve your autonomy above all, because the moment you surrender it, your peace becomes someone else's possession. Care that limits your freedom is not care at all. It's control dressed as concern. When you start reclaiming your independence from a controlling person, expect resistance. They will accuse you of being distant, selfish, or ungrateful. But understand this, They're not upset because you've changed. They're upset because their control no longer works. The Stoic warrior stands tall here. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. That includes other people's expectations. Your mind is your fortress, and no one enters without permission. The moment you begin setting limits, you are declaring, 'I belong to myself.' This isn't rebellion, it's restoration." The Stoic doesn't need permission to think, to act, or to live with integrity. Detachment from control isn't cruelty, it's clarity. You're not abandoning them, you're returning to yourself. Let them label you cold if they must. Virtue requires boundaries, and in the silence that follows your withdrawal, you'll rediscover something sacred, the peace that comes from living by your own reason, not another's approval. Control rarely announces itself. It sneaks in quietly, through habits, words, and routines. It's in the partner who insists on checking your messages just to be sure. It's in the friend who always decides where you go, what you do, and who you spend time with. It's in the boss who uses fear disguised as motivation. Over time, you stop noticing the pattern because it becomes normal. But Stoicism teaches constant awareness, prosoch, the discipline of paying attention. Seneca warned, "He who does not command himself will always be a servant." Watch how they react when you say no. True respect accepts boundaries. Control disguises outrage as concern. When someone's kindness depends on your obedience, you're not in a relationship, you're in a quiet prison. The Stoic response is simple but firm. Stay calm, stay clear, stay free. Don't argue, don't justify. Just act from reason and leave emotion to those who use it as a weapon. Freedom, in Stoic philosophy, has nothing to do with circumstance and everything to do with command over the self. Epictetus was born a slave, yet he became one of history's greatest teachers of liberty because he understood that no one can imprison a disciplined mind. Control over you ends the moment you stop surrendering your emotional reactions to others. When someone tries to dictate your thoughts or choices, they're testing whether your self-governance is intact. The Stoic answer is not rebellion through noise, but mastery through silence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "No man can rob you of your free will." True power is internal, the calm authority that comes from knowing your principles, your limits, and your worth. The world can restrict your movement, but only you can surrender your will. The Stoic stands firm, not because he's immune to manipulation, but because his inner law, reason guided by virtue, cannot be bought, broken, or borrowed. One of the most sinister weapons of control is isolation. It doesn't happen overnight. It begins with subtle remarks. Your friends don't really get you, or your family doesn't support you like I do. Slowly, you're encouraged to spend more time with them and less with everyone else. Soon, your world shrinks until they are the center of it. This is not love, it's captivity disguised as connection. The Stoics believe that true strength thrives in community, not confinement. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that human beings are made for cooperation. When someone cuts you off from others, they cut you off from perspective, from the mirror that helps you see truth. Isolation weakens judgment, and that's exactly what the controller wants. The Stoic must resist this with deliberate openness. Seek allies of reason. Reconnect with those who remind you of who you were before control clouded your mind. Remember, no one who truly loves you will ever fear your independence. Breaking free from control isn't just about leaving the person. It's about reclaiming your inner ground. The scars of domination linger in your habits. Hesitation before speaking, guilt for saying no, fear of disappointing others. These are remnants of a mind once trained to obey. The Stoic path begins with rebuilding order within. Epictetus taught that no one can harm you unless you consent. So, every time you assert a boundary, you withdraw that consent. Start small. Speak clearly. Decide firmly. Move deliberately. Boundaries are not walls. They're filters, letting in only what aligns with your peace. When you say no with conviction, you're not rejecting others. You're respecting yourself. Marcus Aurelius practiced this through inner discipline, reminding himself daily, does this serve my reason or disturb my soul? That question is your compass. Rebuilding strength after control isn't about vengeance. It's about sovereignty. The Stoic doesn't seek freedom from others. He reclaims freedom within. Lies are not just words. They are fractures in the soul. A person who lies habitually is at war with reality itself. They twist facts, reshape memories, and craft illusions until even they can't tell what's true. But deception is self-poisoning. The Stoics saw truth as the highest harmony between word, thought, and action. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." The liar breaks this law daily, fragmenting their own integrity. At first, lies serve a purpose: to impress, to escape consequence, to manipulate, but over time, the habit consumes them. They must lie to maintain the lie. You'll notice it in their contradictions, their shifting stories, their sudden defensiveness when questioned. Stoicism reminds you, never argue with deceit. Observe it, accept it for what it is, and step back. You can't find peace in someone who rejects truth. To protect your mind, and stay anchored in honesty. It is the Stoics' form of invincibility. To the Stoics, truth wasn't just a moral preference. It was the lifeblood of a virtuous existence. Without truth, there can be no wisdom, no justice, no peace. Epictetus taught that a person who deceives others first deceives himself, because falsehood clouds judgment and weakens reason. When someone lives by lies, they live out of alignment with nature, and disorder follows. But when you commit yourself to truth, you stand in harmony with reality itself. Truth gives clarity, and clarity gives power. Marcus Aurelius wrote daily reflections not to impress the world, but to hold himself accountable to truth, to face his flaws without denial or disguise. That is real strength, not perfection, but honesty. So, when you encounter deceit, respond not with outrage, but with integrity. You can't control the liar, but you can control your own transparency. To live in truth is to stand unshaken, even when surrounded by illusion. That is the Stoic path to unbreakable character. A liar doesn't just hide truth from others, they hide it from themselves. Every lie is a defense mechanism, a shield against accountability. They lie because they fear what truth would demand of them: humility, correction, and growth. In their mind, deception is safer than exposure. But the Stoics taught that truth, though painful, is purifying. Seneca wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Liars avoid reality because reality tests strength, and they lack it. They must keep performing, keep deceiving, keep spinning stories to preserve the illusion of control. Yet with every lie, their soul grows weaker, their mind more chaotic. The Stoic sees this not with hatred, but with pity, for such people are prisoners of their own falsehood. To live honestly, even when it costs you comfort, is to live free, but to live in deceit, even when it grants you power, is to live enslaved. The Stoic doesn't chase lies, he uncovers them through stillness. A liar reveals themselves in patterns, inconsistency of word, exaggeration without evidence, stories that shift when retold. You don't need confrontation to expose deceit. You need presence. Marcus Aurelius said, "You always own the option of having no opinion. That's your power, to step back and observe without emotional investment." Liars thrive when they can provoke, because reaction clouds perception. But when you remain calm, they lose their advantage. Notice the details. Do their actions match their words? Do they get defensive when questioned? Do they promise often but deliver little? Stoicism trains you to read reality as it is, not as others claim it to be. A sharp observer doesn't accuse, he recognizes. Truth doesn't need to be shouted, it only needs to be seen. The moment you stop believing everything you hear and start trusting what you see, deceit has no hold over you. Being deceived wounds more than pride. It shakes your faith in humanity. You question your judgment, your kindness, even your worth. But the Stoics would tell you, betrayal is not a sign of your weakness. It's proof of your capacity to trust. Don't let deceit harden you. Let it educate you. Epictetus taught that it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. The liar's actions are outside your control. Your response is not. You can choose to see deception not as destruction, but as purification, the fire that burns away naivety and reveals discernment. Healing begins when you accept that some people choose falsehood because they cannot handle truth. You, however, can. The Stoic does not carry bitterness. He carries boundaries. He learns, adjusts, and continues forward, stronger, clearer, untouchable. Let the betrayal refine your wisdom, not corrode your faith. The one who deceived you lost integrity. Don't lose yours in response. When betrayal hits, your first impulse is to seek answers. Why did they do this? How could they? But that path leads nowhere. The Stoic understands that detachment is not denial, it's discipline. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, You have power over your mind, not outside events. The betrayer has acted. That is done. Now your task is mastery over reaction. Detachment means refusing to let another's deceit define your emotions or your identity. It's not coldness, it's strength through self-command. The Stoic doesn't chase closure, he creates it within. You withdraw not to escape, but to regain control over what belongs to you. Your reason, your peace, your dignity. Every time you refuse to respond with rage or desperation, you reinforce your fortress of mind. The deceiver's chaos cannot penetrate where serenity rules. Remember, indifference to vice is not weakness, it's freedom. You stop bleeding the moment you stop feeding what hurt you. Boundaries are not built from anger, they're built from clarity. The Stoic sets them not to punish others, but to protect the order of the soul. Seneca wrote, "He who does not set bounds to his desires will never be free." The same truth applies to relationships. If you allow everyone access to your time, your energy, your emotions, you invite chaos into your inner world. Boundaries are the architecture of peace. When someone repeatedly disrespects your values, and you don't argue, you adjust proximities. You stop explaining and start acting. The Stoic knows that self-respect doesn't need justification. You don't have to prove you deserve peace. You simply live like you do. Boundaries are not walls. They are filters that keep virtue in and corruption out. Guard your attention. Guard your reactions. Guard your peace of mind like sacred ground. Because once your mind becomes disciplined, no manipulator, liar, or controller can enter without your consent. Setting boundaries is one thing. Enforcing them is where true discipline begins. Weak people talk about limits. Strong ones live them. The Stoic doesn't beg for respect. He commands it through consistency. When you set a boundary, expect it to be tested. Manipulators will push, guilt trip, or provoke to see if your word bends. That's when your composure becomes your weapon. Marcus Aurelius said, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." Tolerance means you don't hate them. Strictness means you don't betray your standards. Don't over-explain. Don't justify. A firm no delivered calmly carries more power than 1,000 emotional defenses. The Stoic understands that peace requires discipline, and discipline often looks like silence, withdrawal, or non-reaction. You don't need to raise your voice to prove strength. You simply stop allowing your energy to be misused. Every time you hold your ground with calm authority, you train your mind to serve reason over approval. Forgiveness, in the Stoic sense, is not about excusing wrongdoing. It's about refusing to let anger chain you to the past. When someone wrongs you, your instinct is to demand justice, explanation, or remorse. But the Stoic understands that those expectations often deepen your suffering. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Forgiveness is liberation, not permission. It's saying, you no longer occupy space in my mind." Anger corrodes clarity, and clarity is the Stoic's greatest defense. This doesn't mean you forget. It means you release the poison while keeping the lesson. You forgive not because they deserve peace, but because you do. True forgiveness is strength in motion. You acknowledge the harm, accept the reality, and move forward without bitterness. The past cannot be controlled, only your response can. So, free yourself from resentment, but remember the pattern that caused it. Wisdom forgives the person, but never forgets the principle. The hardest part after betrayal isn't trusting others again, it's trusting yourself. You start questioning your judgment, your intuition, your ability to see truth. But the Stoics remind us that mistakes are not failures. They are training. Epictetus said, "Difficulties show what men are." Being deceived only means you valued truth enough to believe. Don't punish yourself for being human. Instead, refine your perception through reflection, not regret. Write down what you missed, what you ignored, what felt off. This is how awareness evolves. The Stoic doesn't dwell on the wound. He studies it until it becomes wisdom. Rebuilding trust in yourself starts with honoring your instincts again. They warned you before. Next time, you'll listen. Don't close your heart. Sharpen your sight. Strength isn't becoming cynical. It's becoming clear. The one who betrayed you tested your faith in others. Now, let that experience restore your faith in your own discernment. Self-mastery begins with self-awareness. You can't guard against deception or manipulation if you don't understand how your own emotions work. The Stoics practice constant self-observation, a mental mirror held up to their thoughts, reactions, and desires. Marcus Aurelius journaled daily, not for vanity, but for clarity, He examined his impulses like a philosopher in a battlefield, asking, "What within me allowed this disturbance to enter?" You must do the same. Notice when you crave validation, when guilt bends your choices, when loneliness makes you ignore red flags. These are not flaws, they're entry points for growth. The Stoic doesn't condemn weakness. He studies it until it loses control over him. Every time you identify a recurring emotional pattern, you reclaim a piece of freedom. You stop reacting. You start choosing. Self-awareness is not passive reflection. It's active vigilance. When you know your own mind deeply, no manipulator can use it against you. Emotional control doesn't mean feeling nothing. It means mastering what you feel before it masters you. When someone provokes you, your body reacts before your mind does. Anger, fear, defensiveness. The Stoic sees this surge as the signal to pause. Epictetus taught, it's not events that disturb us, but our judgment about them. That pause is where power lives. Instead of reacting from impulse, you respond from reason. You breathe. You observe. You ask, is this emotion serving me or enslaving me? Anger clouds clarity, and clarity is freedom. When you can stay calm under attack, you shift from prey to observer. The manipulator loses control because you refuse to feed their chaos. This discipline turns emotional storms into teachers, each one sharpening your awareness, strengthening your will. Emotional control isn't suppression, it's precision. You feel deeply but act deliberately, guided by wisdom, not impulse. That is Stoic power, emotion in service of virtue. When the world around you spins out of control, conflict. Betrayal, manipulation, the average person gets pulled into the storm. But the Stoic trains to become the still point within it. Presence is your anchor. Marcus Aurelius practiced it by constantly returning his thoughts to the present moment. Writing, confine yourself to the present. You can't control tomorrow, and yesterday is gone. Only now can be mastered. Chaos loses power when you stop reacting to it and start observing it. In stillness, you see the truth. Most of what agitates you lives only in perception. The Stoic mind treats noise like weather, passing, never personal. When others rage, you breathe. When others panic, you analyze. When others fall apart, you remain grounded. This presence doesn't make you passive, it makes you unbreakable. The warrior who can stay calm in the storm doesn't escape the world. He commands it from within. Pain is not your enemy, misunderstanding it is. The Stoics believed every hardship hides a lesson, and every wound can become wisdom if faced with reason. Seneca wrote, "Fire tests gold, and adversity tests the brave." When you suffer betrayal, loss, or manipulation, don't ask why me. Ask what is this teaching me? That question shifts pain from punishment to purpose. Reflection transforms raw emotion into structured thought, turning chaos into clarity. Write it down. Analyze what happened without self-pity. What pattern did you ignore? What boundary did you fail to hold? What truth did you avoid because it was uncomfortable? This is how the Stoic grows, through radical honesty. The world doesn't owe you ease, it offers experience. And the disciplined mind converts that experience into enlightenment. The pain that once weakened you becomes the forge that strengthens your judgment. The Stoics' rule is simple. Never suffer the same pain twice. Learn fast. Rise faster. After chaos. Rebuilding is not about returning to who you were. It's about rising wiser, cleaner, and more disciplined. The Stoics rebuilt their lives daily through intention. Marcus Aurelius began each morning by reminding himself that he would meet selfish, deceitful, or arrogant people, not to hate them, but to stay unmoved by them. You must do the same. Rebuilding starts with structure, routines rooted in self-respect, thoughts guided by reason, and relationships chosen by character, not convenience. Epictetus taught, first say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. Write down who you wish to become, calm, strong, honest, and let every decision reflect that identity. Rebuilding is not grand gestures, it's quiet consistency. You eat clean, think clearly, speak truthfully, and act with purpose. The Stoic doesn't wait for peace to appear, he builds it, brick by brick, through daily discipline and unwavering virtue. The Stoics warned that your character is shaped by the company you keep. Epictetus said, avoid companions who make you slack in virtue. The people closest to you either elevate your discipline or erode it. After freeing yourself from manipulation or deceit, your next task is choosing wisely. Do not seek comfort in those who only agree with you. Seek truth in those who challenge you to grow. A Stoic companion speaks directly, acts with integrity, and respects your independence. They don't compete with your strength, they mirror it. Marcus Aurelius surrounded himself with men of principle because he knew energy is contagious. Mediocrity spreads as fast as excellence. Choose your contagion. When you walk with people who value peace, reason, and mastery, your mind naturally steadies. But if you walk with the restless, your soul becomes noisy. Guard your circle as you would your thoughts. It determines your destiny. The deepest freedom is needing nothing from anyone, not their approval, not their praise, not their understanding. Most people live enslaved by opinions, changing their behavior to please crowds that don't even know themselves. But the Stoic lives by an inner compass. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." That's the essence of independence, acting from reason, not reputation. When you build your life on external validation, your peace rises and falls with other people's moods. But when your actions come from principle, criticism becomes noise. The Stoic satisfaction lies in living rightly, not being recognized. You can walk alone with dignity because you walk with truth. Approval fades, but virtue endures. Don't chase being understood, chase being grounded. The day you no longer need applause to know your worth is the day you become untouchable. That's the silent strength of the Stoic mind. Resilience isn't built in comfort, it's forged in difficulty. Every setback, betrayal, and disappointment you've endured wasn't punishment. It was preparation. The Stoics saw obstacles as opportunities to practice virtue. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." When life blocks your path, it's not closing a door, it's pointing you toward mastery. The weak see obstacles and retreat. The Stoic sees them and refines his strength. Each hardship tests your patience. Each failure sharpens your judgment. Each rejection strengthens your detachment. You're not meant to avoid pain. You're meant to transcend it. Resilience is built when you stop asking, "Why me?" and start declaring, "Try me." The Stoic doesn't crumble under weight. He becomes stronger from it. Like tempered steel, your character hardens in adversity. Every time you endure without bitterness, you prove that no circumstance can conquer a disciplined soul without purpose. The mind becomes a battlefield, scattered, restless, and easy to control. The Stoics knew that clarity of purpose is clarity of soul. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is measured by the object of his pursuits." If your days are filled with meaningless noise, you're not living, you're drifting. Purpose gives your actions precision, your thoughts order, and your struggles meaning. It turns suffering into training and silence into focus. The manipulator, the liar, the controller, they all lose power over a person who knows where they're going. Every morning, ask yourself, what is essential today? What aligns with my highest values? Then remove everything else. The Stoic doesn't chase motivation, he follows mission. Each task, no matter how small, becomes sacred when tied to reason. Distraction is the death of direction. But when your purpose is firm, life itself becomes a disciplined march toward virtue. When you finally walk the Stoic path, when emotion serves reason, when peace replaces chaos, when you act from virtue instead of reaction, you reach a state no one can touch. This isn't arrogance, it's enlightenment through discipline. The Stoic doesn't control the world, he controls himself. And that's enough. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet reminded himself daily that mastery begins within. The manipulator can't shake you because you see through their disguise. The liar can't confuse you because you stand in truth. The controller can't bind you because you've reclaimed your freedom. You become what the Stoics called apatheia, not numb, but unshaken. Life still brings storms, but you've built your fortress on rock, not sand. This is the victory of self-command. Calm amid noise, purpose amid distraction, strength amid deceit. When wisdom guides your choices and virtue anchors your heart, you're not just surviving, you're ascending. That's the Stoic's final triumph. Peace earned through mastery. Every shadow you've faced, every manipulator, liar, or controller was not sent to destroy you, but to awaken you. Life is not asking you to hide from darkness. It's asking you to see it clearly, to understand it, and to rise above it with reason and virtue. The Stoic path is not an easy one, but it's the only one that leads to peace that cannot be stolen. You have the power right now to reclaim your mind, to live with integrity, and to stop giving your strength to people who don't deserve it. Choose discipline over reaction, truth over illusion, and calm over chaos. Because when you master yourself, no one can master you. If this message spoke to you, I invite you to reflect. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. What lesson did you need to hear most today? Let's build this community of clarity and strength together. And if you found value in this message, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for listening. And remember, peace is not found by avoiding the storm, but by standing calm within it. You've been watching Momentum Mindset. Stay strong, stay wise, and keep walking the Stoic path.